Hello everyone, I have not made a video in quite some time and I do want to apologize for that. I am still in the process of moving. Clearly you can see I'm still in the same place. But when I do, get to where I am going to be living, I'm going to be making a lot more of my scripted videos where I go deep into trans issues and things going on in the LGBT and just the news in general with all that stuff. But right now, I'm going to make a video about something that I had experienced just a couple days ago, having to do with a QIA Plus member. I'm not doing this scripted, so if I am saying like and a lot, just know that that's why. Right now, I have a really ratchet setup. And then clearly the pans and the blinds don't make for a very good background. But when I do move, I'm actually going to start working on, an actual recording space where I, will have a decent background, because this is not it right now. And maybe get a computer that doesn't act like an asthmatic kid running the mile every time I try to use it, because this thing is dying. And I'm going to get a camera as well and a real setup. So my videos will start looking much better. I'm just getting started, so please bear with me with the crappy background. But I did finally get a mic, so at least my voice sounds better. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about today is something that happened to me a couple days ago, probably 2 days ago. I had made a video on TikTok talking about how what the QIA Plus is forcing kids to do is worse than what churches force kids to do. It was replying to a comment. I'll leave the link to the video down below so you guys can go watch it and get the context, because it is a lot. It's like a 10-minute video, and I would put it up here, but then it would crash my computer trying to edit this, so I'm not going to do that. People from the QIA Plus clearly did not like what I was saying in this video that I had made. But basically the whole premise of the video is I talk about, churches aren't forcing kids to remove limbs or take HRT. They aren't forcing kids to watch a bunch of naked men running around during a pride parade, etc. And one of the points that I had made is that homosexuals are, statistically proven to molest kids more often. And I brought that up because I was sure that somebody was going to bring up the Catholic priest argument that they always bring up. That's the only argument that they can bring up when it comes to, churches in general. I obviously had people comment on that video, or at least one person saying, gay people don't do all that. So I made a follow-up video with proof of what I found. I will also link that one down below so you can go watch that one. But I'm sure everybody who watches my channel is already well aware of what happens with the QIA Plus, so if you don't watch it, then it's whatever. You're not really missing anything. But I did provide proof in that video of not only what the QIA Plus is doing to force kids into transitioning, but also a proof, I added a source and everything of the statistics that I got for homosexuals molesting kids more often than heterosexuals. This obviously wasn't just a statistic that I pulled out of my ass. It is something that I found in an article online. I can link the article down below as well. And it's actual statistics. So I didn't just make this number up. And of course, people weren't very happy about it. Specifically, one person that I'm going to talk about today. So this is from a TikTok video that I had made and reposted on my Instagram, because I've been using my Instagram as sort of like a backup for my TikTok videos. And my Instagram doesn't get a lot of traction because I'm pretty sure I'm shadow banned on there. And it took a really long time for it to get seen by, anybody who disagrees with it. But when it was seen by people who disagreed with it, or a single person who disagreed with it, they were not happy about it. And in true QIA Plus fashion, they didn't want to have an actual conversation or talk about anything that I had said in the video. This person wanted a fight. Typical QIA Plus people. instead of actually having a conversation, she immediately went to attacking me. So here's the first comment that she left, the first comment that she left on this video. This is the most deranged, detached from reality shit I've ever seen. I feel like it's self-harm for you to keep yourself alive. If the 42%, talking about the amount of trans people who take their own lives, if the 42% was made of people like you, it wouldn't be such a sad number. It should have been you instead of Next Benedict and Brianna Gray. Before I talk about any of this, I want to say that I'm fine. My mental health is just fine. I am learning how to ignore these people. And while I did respond to this one with, "Are you telling me to off myself because I'm a rational human?" I did not respond to any more of her comments. This has not really affected me mentally in any sort of way. I know that this person is clearly miserable. She clearly doesn't have a good life, and she wants to take it out on somebody else, despite that person not doing anything wrong. So I'm fine. You don't need to worry about me. I'm only really talking about this on YouTube because I think that it needs awareness brought to it. I don't think that any person should get away with speaking to another human this way. And I wanted to make a whole video just talking about the things that I think about from these comments. Let's start with the first sentence. This is the most deranged, detached from reality shit I've ever seen. Detached from reality. So let's start with that. The QIA Plus is making up genders. They are creating problems for themselves by saying that they are oppressed or that there is endless violence against them for what they identify as. If anything is detached from reality, it's that. If anything is detached from reality, it's probably the people that think that they have no gender. Oh, like this person. Wow, look at that. They, them pronouns. So who's really detached from reality, babe? That's as deep as I'm going to go into that. There's nothing that I need to say to get you guys to realize that these people are obviously detached from reality and insane, because we can see it. We're not blind. These people are blind. Not us, though. And then she goes on to say that it's self-harm for me to keep myself alive. What? That's really all that I can say. Like, what? How can you say that to somebody? I'm genuinely confused how she can so easily say that to another human. Someone that just doesn't agree with her. She said that to. If the 42% was made up of people like you, it wouldn't be such a sad number. Something the left is constantly bringing up is that trans people, trans kids, are wanting to take their own lives because they can't transition as children. But they use that statistic against an actual trans person who suffers from genuine gender dysphoria because that trans person doesn't agree with them. So just because I don't agree with you, you think that I should be a part of the 42% of trans people who take their own lives when they make that a massive talking point of why people should transition their children. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense at all? You can't use this as a talking point to push your case and try to make people want to trans their kids because of this statistic, while also saying, yeah, I think that this trans person should be a part of that number just because I don't agree with him. How deranged. Like, it's funny how she says that the video I made is deranged, but then she says that. Then she goes on to say the most psychotic things possible. It is psychotic to say that to somebody else. To someone who is existing as a person, someone you don't actually know, it's psychotic to tell that person to take their life because you don't agree with what they have to say. It should have been you instead of Next Benedict and Brianna Gray. Those are both people who were supposedly hate crimed. I don't think that Next Benedict was hate crimed. I think that she took her life, but that's just a conspiracy theory. That's just what I believe. If you believe that she was hate crimes, then that's your belief, and I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But I don't believe that she was hate crimed. I believe that she took her life. Either way, this person is dead, and they were supposedly a trans person. And this person is trying to compare that to me and saying that I should have been in that person's place instead of Next Benedict or Brianna Gray. But she's only saying this because she knows my views. If she didn't know my views and what I speak on, she would not have said that. She wouldn't have wanted me to take my life, because I would just be another trans person to her. Because I would be another one of the oppressed, hated trans people. If I had gotten hate crimed and these people didn't know who I was and what I spoke about, they would be losing their shit like they did for Next Benedict and Brianna Gray. I only responded to her by saying, "Are you telling me to off myself because I'm a rational human?" Because I really could not think of anything else to say. Everything that she is saying in this message is beyond hypocritical. She says that I'm deranged when she's telling me to kill myself. She's bringing up this 42% just because she doesn't agree with me, while also using that 42% as a big talking point as to why people should transition their children. And then she thinks that I should be hate crimed instead of one of these other two trans people. What do I even say to that? Like, genuinely, what? It's literally in her comment. Her entire comment is hypocrisy. Entire thing. She really wrote all that out, sent it, read it again, probably read it again after that, and said, "Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's perfect." I don't think so, honey. You quite literally went against everything that you stand for, fighting for trans rights that you are saying are trying to be taken away all the time. And you went against all that just because I don't agree with you. How do you think that works? How do you genuinely believe that that works? Because it doesn't. You can't just cherry pick things to be for your side and use them for your side and your arguments to get people on your side, and then immediately use those arguments again and throw them in the faces of the trans people who don't agree with you. That's not how this works. If you want people to join your side, if you want to convince trans people who don't think like you to be on your side, this is the last thing that you do. This is the last fucking thing that you do. I will never support this group. Never. And if I had only gotten this one comment from this one person, I still would never support this group. Because why would I want to ever be a part of a group who speaks like this to other people? Why would I want to be a part of a group who wishes people who don't agree with them would die? That's not a group that I ever want to be a part of. That's not a group that any rational human would ever want to be a part of. So she isn't making a case for them. She is doing everything in her power, without knowing it, to turn everyone against their group. And she did. She did with this comment. And that is why I am putting it out for the entire world to see. I am putting it online on every platform that I can to make sure that everyone knows what this girl told me to do, because I don't agree with her opinions, because I don't agree that churches are worse than what the QIA Plus is doing. She thinks that this is okay. And I want the entire world to see that. And I want the entire world to know that this is how the QIA Plus treats anyone who disagrees with them, if they haven't seen it already. I did make a response video, not specifically to her, but I did make a video talking about what I thought about everything that she said. It would have been great to put it in a comment to her, but what is that going to do for me? Then she's just going to comment back. No one is going to see it because my account is shadow banned. No one is watching this video. I got 3 likes on this video, and all of them were from my followers. No one was going to see this comment. So writing a comment to her about what I think about her comment wouldn't have done anything at all. Which is why I have made a TikTok video. I uploaded that TikTok video onto Instagram. I uploaded it to Twitter and wrote an entire thread on Twitter for it. And now I'm putting it on YouTube because everyone needs to see this. So, yeah. Everyone's going to see this video. I hope. I hope this video gets 1 million views. It won't, but I hope that it does. I hope that 1 million people see this and see that this is how transsexuals are treated by the group that is supposed to love and tolerate everyone. I went and I looked at her profile before or after. I don't remember when I looked at this chick's profile before I made this video, the response video. But I looked at her profile and I found I went to her most recent post. And I left a comment that said, "Do you often tell anyone who doesn't agree with you to kill themselves, or is that something special for me?" That comment was deleted immediately, of course. And while looking through that post, I saw something. In one of her pictures. Here it is. Look at her arm. So, she cuts herself all the way up her arm. And then she goes and she tells me to harm myself. You've been there. You know what the struggle is. You know how it feels to self-harm and to want to die. But she still goes and tells other people to do the same just because she doesn't agree with them. What world are we living in? What world are we living in that this is okay? That people have absolutely no sympathy whatsoever for people that have suffered through what they also have suffered through. Like, what has happened? What the fuck happened? Because I remember when there was like communities of people who would come together and talk about what they've been through and how it's affected them. And now we're against everybody all the time. Doesn't matter what they've been through. We're against everyone 24/7 all the time. I made a comment also basically just bringing that up, saying like, you've clearly cut. You know what it's like to self-harm. Why would you tell me to kill myself? Something along those lines. And she deleted both comments without responding to either of them on her profile. And I knew that that was going to happen. Because why would she want bad comments that she's made on her profile? She doesn't want people to know that she acts like this. She wants everyone to think that she's perfectly happy all the time and not that she's so fucking miserable that she tells a transsexual to kill himself because she doesn't agree with him. So, yeah, of course she deleted the comments. Of course. I mean, she did respond to it a little bit in the other comments that she left for me on the first video that she left a comment on and the response video. She left me 2 more on each. So, let's talk about those, because these ones are even more fun. Starting from the bottom, because the bottom one is the most recent, or the first one, I guess. Instagram keeps removing my comments, so I'll just say, you deserve everything that's happened to you. I'm glad you're suffering so horribly. I'd rather die than live as you for a second. So the first thing that I observed when I read this comment wasn't actually anything that she said. Actually, the first thing that I noticed was how fucking shitty her spelling is. What is going on here? Like, actually, what is... She can't even spell your. She can't spell your. She couldn't spell suffering. Or she tried to, split it up to make sure that Instagram couldn't delete it again. But after I reported it, it was deleted again. And how the fuck did she manage to spell horribly? So horribly wrong. That doesn't look anything like the word. She needs to go back to school, not telling people to kill themselves. She needs to go back to school instead of having an Instagram account. Clearly. But anyways, she thinks that I've deserved everything that's happened to me and glad that I'm suffering. When did I ever say that I'm suffering? Especially so horribly. I never once said in any of my videos that I'm suffering. If anything, I am the happiest that I've ever been in my life because of my sex change. That is why I am so happy. I have had the best mental health now than I ever had in my life because I have finally been able to take care of my gender dysphoria. And I have said this in several videos, and yeah, I talk really monotone, especially, or pretty aggressive in the videos that I make on TikTok especially. I don't know why. I know that I talk really monotone, when I have a script because I'm reading off of a script. I'm going to try to, put some more of my character into my videos so that they're not so boring to watch. But I guess it seems like I'm just angry all the time because of the way that I speak. But I also think that, talking a little bit monotone gives it an air of professionalism to an extent. Obviously, I say the word fuck a lot. So that gets rid of all that professionalism. But, speaking calmly gets people to listen to you a little bit longer than, screaming does. The left could learn a thing or two about that. But anyways, I am not suffering. I've never said once on my profile that I am suffering. I am doing the best that I've ever been. So, she's really wrong. Also, I have said on my profile that I am the happiest that I've ever been. In several videos. But I think that she got that I'm suffering because I've made storytime videos talking about the way that my stepmother treated me when I was in high school. And the way that, my boyfriend treated me. And, obviously I have spoken slightly on traumatic things that I have been through. And most of the time, I'm speaking about that to bring awareness to how it is to live as a trans person in these situations, because my stepmother did treat me the way that she did because I am trans, so it's relevant to my account. It's relevant to what I talk about. And plus, story times are just fun to listen to. So, I don't know. I like making those story times. But not once in those story times did I ever act like it was still affecting me. I was laughing about those videos the entire time that I was making them. Even if it was, like a story time of when I almost died because my stepmother was neglecting me. I was laughing in the video. So, I don't know how she sees that as suffering. If anything, she's the one who's suffering. I mean, did you see her? Look at her. She needs help. Bad. Really bad. Here's another comment with some really amazing spelling. You detransitioned without the E. I forgot the E at the end. For a man. You're, wrong your, not really, that's supposed to say trans, but it starts with a Y instead. And you look and sound lime a lesbian. I know she meant like a lesbian, but girl. At least go back and check for spelling mistakes if you're so angry while you're writing a comment that you misspell everything. I'm going to, look at this comment and realize she's clearly really angry because I also misspell a lot of stuff when I'm blinded by rage at what somebody said. Which I haven't been this blinded by rage in a long time, to the point where I misspell every other fucking word that I write. I also went to English class and got straight A's in English class. So I also do know how to spell things. This person clearly doesn't. I mean, can't even spell the words that she's trying to use against me. But talking about the detransition for a man thing that I have mentioned briefly on my TikTok profile in videos that I've talked about in the past. And while I don't owe anybody an explanation, especially this person, I am going to talk about it a little bit. And I want to go into more detail about it at some point, because I think that it is really important to talk about. But basically, in my senior year of high school, I started really talking to one of my friends that I had known since I started that high school. And at this high school, it was 10th to 12th. So there was no 9th grade. I started during 10th grade, and he and I were basically the same age. We were in the same class. And, halfway through my senior year, I ended up dating him. But while we were still talking, before, we were actually dating, he was basically trying to get me to detransition for this relationship. He was making a lot of, remarks to it. He wouldn't call me the name that I was going by at the time, because I wasn't going by Nick then. So he wasn't calling me he wasn't using the name that I had picked out or anything. And, at that time, I was already in a really, really bad state of mind because of the way that I was being treated by my dad and his wife. And I lost a lot of friends. When I came out as trans, most of my friends distanced themselves. I don't know 100% if it was for that, but they did grow very distant when I came out. So anybody can assume that that's why. But obviously I didn't have anybody else, really. And just a few months before I started dating him, I had been talking to an older guy online, and he ended up essaying me because he met up with me. So obviously at this point in my life, I was really fucked up. And he wanted to date me. And I thought, you know what? Ever since I came out as trans, I've only had issues. So I'm going to force myself to be a woman so that I can be with the only person who actually cares for me. And that is why I started dating this guy and why I socially detransitioned. I socially detransitioned. I was the only trans person in my school. I was not noticed. No one gave a fuck about me. So nobody really cared that I socially detransitioned. It wasn't a problem for everybody else around me. And it didn't make my life easier. It made it 10 times harder. It made the abuse from my stepmother 10 times worse. And then obviously my gender dysphoria was flaring up really bad because this boyfriend wanted me to be as feminine as humanly possible. He wanted me to wear booty shorts, little tiny skirts, thigh highs, crop tops with push-up bras. That's what he wanted me in. So obviously my gender dysphoria was really bad. And up until that point, I was dressing like a tomboy. So dressing like that was really, really new to me. And I wasn't used to it. And obviously I was getting a lot of looks from people. And especially older men. Not gonna lie. A lot of older men. But yeah, so that's why I socially detransitioned for a man. It was also for myself because I thought that it would help me. It didn't help me. And I figured that out after I dumped him and started, really, really thinking about my mental health and why I even came out in the first place. So it's really stupid that this person attacks that because this person doesn't actually know why I socially detransitioned. She just says, you're not really trans because you socially detransitioned. And she doesn't want to listen to the reason why I did it. But the problem is these people often make the argument of a lot of the detrans people are still trans. They just don't want to be out and they socially detransitioned because their family or their boyfriend doesn't want them to be trans. So they use it as an argument until the person is against them. You know, in typical leftist fashion, they say that. So, you know, and again, I haven't really spoken in depth about why I socially detransitioned back in high school. I was 17. I didn't fucking know myself. Nobody knows their self at 17. Another big reason why children shouldn't be able to transition when they're young. Because you don't know yourself until you are an adult and you've been out in the world. It took me living alone without a boyfriend to influence me, without parents to influence me, without anyone influencing me at all. It took that for me to really, really come to terms with the fact that I have gender dysphoria. And it took a long time. It took 2 years after I left this guy, or a year and a half to 2 years more of thinking for a long time. And I'm really glad that I made this decision and actually finally decided to transition. She doesn't care about that. She does not care about what I went through. And I haven't, again, spoken about it on TikTok in that amount of detail. But why would she care anyways? She wouldn't even, I doubt that she'd even listen to the video if I made one and talked about that. So I didn't even bother responding to that. I didn't respond to any of these comments, actually. So, but yeah. And saying that I look and sound like a lesbian is really fucking funny. Because if I looked and sounded like a butch lesbian, because obviously I would have to look butch if you look at me. If I looked like a lesbian and sounded like a lesbian, which is a woman, a lesbian is a woman, then I would not be getting called he in public at all. And I think that I have a pretty deep voice compared to a lot of trans guys. Because a lot of trans guys have, you know, the stereotypical T voice where it's still pretty high, but it's just deep enough that it sounds like you have the stereotypical gay voice that everybody makes fun of when they're trying to, you know, I don't know, like mock, not in a joking manner, mock gay people. You know, even I would make that voice, you know, make the typical gay voice. That's shit. That's what they sound like. There's nothing wrong with that. And I do feel bad for the guys that do have the T voice. I do feel really bad for them. But I don't have that. I already had a pretty deep voice before I started my medical transition. So I was lucky enough to be able to get a voice this deep. And I know that it's deep because I sing a lot and I can hit way low notes, but I can't hit high notes anymore. And if I sounded like a girl, people would call me a girl. So don't look or sound like a lesbian. But she's going after my transition because she doesn't actually have a point to use against me. They will do this all the time. They will go after your looks, your personality, and your transition if you're a trans person before they ever give you a sliver of factual information to use against you. That's just how leftists are. Or QIA+. Obviously, not all leftists are like this. I do have leftist family members and leftist friends online, and they don't act like this. They are against this as well, because this is the extreme. They are so extreme that they are literally going back to far rightism. They're literally like conservatives now, but for leftist stuff. Like, it's ridiculous how they think that they're progressive. I'm gonna start with this, the last comment that she left, the very top one, because it also talks about the T voice. I don't have a T voice. At least I don't think I have a T voice. I don't think that I have a T voice. If I do have a T voice, tell me that I have a T voice in a nice manner so I stop saying that I have a deep voice. But I can hear myself. I can hear myself in videos. And unless I'm like really, like when I get really, really excited or happy or whatever, you know, my voice does go up a little bit. That's just how humans are. That is how every human is, especially females. You know, have Well, women will, their voice will go higher if they're in the presence of somebody that they really like. That's literally how it is for me. When I get really happy and excited, my voice goes up. I did not sound like that in that video because I wasn't excited. I wasn't happy. I was talking about this person because this was in the response video that she's responding to. And then also, I think it's really funny. LMAO, it's so angry. You can hear it in its little T voice. Come on. Come on. Babe. This is exactly why I say I hate when QIA plus members and transgenders use it as a pronoun. Because it's not a pronoun. It is not a pronoun. It is a derogatory term used to dehumanize trans people, as this person is doing right here. She is dehumanizing trans people by calling me an it. But if I called her an it or dehumanized her whatsoever, for a damn fact she would lose her shit. And everyone would be on her side. Not a single person was on my side when I posted this video, by the way. Not a single person. Anyways. But, yeah. She uses a dehumanizing term towards me. But if anyone, doesn't matter who it was, used a dehumanizing, derogatory term towards them, they would lose their shit. And this is exactly why I don't like that it's a pronoun now. It's not actually a pronoun. Those people are just fucked up. And I don't think those people genuinely see themselves as human when they use the it pronoun. They're dehumanizing themselves. Because this is a derogatory term. I've had it used as a derogatory term towards me 100 fucking times in the past. All the time. I've heard it as a derogatory term. So this isn't anything new to me, which is why it doesn't hurt me. I'm used to all of this. I have a thick skin now because of what I've been through. And you will notice that genuine trans people do have thick skin because of the things that they go through and the words that they are subjected to from the people around them, especially those that were supposed to love them. And, I was best friends with my stepmother before I came out. And then immediately after I came out, she turned into a fucking monster. So, my stepmother was supposed to love me, but she was often calling me it. She was calling me a faggot. She was calling me tranny. All that stuff. So, yeah, it's just really ironic to me. Like, I hate when they use that. I fucking hate it when they use it as a pronoun because it's a derogatory, dehumanizing term towards trans people, and it has been for decades. Just like the word queer has been used as a derogatory term for homosexuals for decades. Until now, apparently. But, anyways, okay. Here is the last paragraph that she left me. And this is the biggest comment by far. Holy crap. Wow, she really likes me. LMAO, I'm not going to be loving to something that calls trans people pedophiles. So, she said, I'm not going to be loving because in that video, obviously I said, this is the all-loving, all-tolerant left, everyone. Look at it. That's what I said. So, and then she goes on to call me something, which, again, dehumanizes me as a person. And then she says that I call people, or trans people, pedophiles. First of all, I didn't say that. Never once did I say trans people are pedophiles. Never said that. What I did say was that homosexuals are more likely to molest children statistically, and then provided a source from an actual article, like a medical institution article, where I get a lot of my trans information. So I think we're going to listen to the article written by medical professionals and, other professionals who actually look into statistics. But anyways, never actually said all trans people are pedophiles. Never once. I guess if she watched more of my videos, then she would have seen the video that I made on Chris Tyson. But he's actually a pedophile. So, again, here they go actually protecting pedophiles in their community. While at the same time, these people are also pushing to put MAPS, minor attracted people, into the community. So it's no fucking wonder they want me to accept Chris Tyson and not see him as a pedophile. But no, I 100% see Chris Tyson as a pedophile. Because he has talked to little kids and he likes CP. So I'm going to refer to him as that word until I die. And yeah, I never said flat out that all trans people are pedos. I even said in another video, because a random Anon account actually left a comment on one of my other videos saying, "Stop touching kids." And I was like, "What makes you think that?" And he said, "You're trans." So how about go after that person that left that comment saying that I'm a pedo just because I'm trans? I made a whole video talking about how it isn't all trans people and how it's sad that people genuinely believe that it's all trans people now because of what the left is doing. That was the entire point of that video. That's also still on my TikTok profile and on my Instagram profile. And that was the only person who really disagreed with me. But anyways, cis people will never accept you no matter how much you degrade yourself. Where am I degrading myself? I have not once degraded myself in my own videos because I do have some self-worth. And just because I call myself a female, know that I was born a woman, or born a girl, grew up as a girl, grew up into a woman, and then started to transition into a man, does not mean that I'm degrading myself. I'm not degrading myself. I am actually doing better for myself now that I do recognize that I am a female. Because before, I was just telling myself that I was a man and that I was, transitioning to a man 100%. That I would be a male, when I was back in high school in 16. That's what I was telling myself. And I was in the worst mental state possible when I was telling myself that. So actually, since I started telling myself, oh yeah, you are a female, you recognize that you're a female, then yeah, my mental health got a lot better. Because if you can accept your sex, you're just going to be better as a person, period. You have a much better mental health if you recognize what you are and where you came from, just in general. Just in general. I recognize that everything that I've been through has made me a stronger person, has given me a thicker skin to make it so these people don't get under my skin. Because, yeah, saying that I'm degrading myself because I recognize my own biological sex and I am aware of what a man and a woman is. Okay. But cis people will never accept you. Funny because I'm pretty sure that 99.9% of the fucking population of the world is cis. Men and women do accept me, actually. If they didn't, then why do I constantly speak to them? Why do I constantly have these people leaving comments on my videos saying, "Thank you so much for saying this. If I said this, I would get destroyed"? Those people are comfortable with their sex, and they have stayed their sex So, pretty sure those people accept me a lot more than they accept you, actually. I have yet to meet a single person who doesn't use some other form of pronoun that accepts these people. Like, really accepts these people. There's tolerating these people and just ignoring them, and then there's actually accepting them. And I haven't met a single cis person who genuinely accepts these people. They are doing it to themselves by doing shit like this. And I'm not trying to be a pick-me because I recognize my biological sex and because I'm able to have my own brain and think the way that I want to think instead of being a hive mind like all of these people are. Next sentence. My a cunt. Again, with the spelling. With the fucking spelling. The fucking... Bro. You couldn't even add the O. You are so mad that you forgot to add the O to account. My account is full of me doing fun stuff. Yours is full of long-deranged rants against people like yourself. You have like 10 posts, babe, of you just existing. What fun stuff are you doing? Sitting in the mall in this totally woman outfit with probably the ugliest pair of demonias on the website. Because I'm sorry, I'm so sorry to everyone who wears the big blocky Roblox looking demonias, but I just can't. I can't with them. I'm so sorry. I have my own pair of demonias, I do. I just can't with those ones. But no, I do love demonias. I'll actually show you my pair. But yeah, these are my demonias. So I do like them. I do wear them. These are incredibly uncomfortable to wear, but I do wear them. Like, they got the like logo and flames on the bottom and everything. Like, these are genuine demonios. They're my favorite shoes. So I do like demonias. But come on. If you're going to spend $150 on a pair of demonias, at least pick a good pair. How is this you doing fun stuff? Wearing Roblox demonios, sitting in the mall, sipping a drink and playing on your phone. That is not having fun. You know, when I play on my phone when I'm in a public space, that means that I'm bored out of my fucking mind. Not having fun. When I'm having fun, I interact with my surroundings. Because that's what you do when you're having fun out in public. She's clearly not having fun. And like all of her posts are like this. The most fun she's had is she went on a hike with one of her other non-binary, typical looking troll friends. Because they all look the same. That was rude, but I actually don't care. I don't even care anymore. Because they both look like trolls. I'm sorry. Not sorry. How are you going to actually look like this, though, and come after my transition? Because one of us here is trans, and then the other person is a girl who cut off her tits and grew gut hair. Not saying there's anything wrong with gut hair, because I've got quite a bit from being on testosterone, but come on. If you're comfortable enough to wear these clothes and actually look like a woman, then everything else that you did to yourself isn't good looking on you. You might be a good looking person if you actually dress like a man, but you look like a troll, honey. Really bad. Anyways. Full of long-deranged rants against people like myself. First of all, these people are not like me. Pretty easy to see that these people aren't like me. Because if they were like me, then they wouldn't be this mad. She wouldn't be this mad at me if she was anything like me. Because the transsexuals who are like me are like, you go, king. Good job. Thank you so much for speaking out about this. That's how transsexuals treat me. They are happy that I'm speaking out against this stuff. Because it really does need to be spoken about. And these people aren't me. They're nothing like me. They're nothing like Blair White. They're nothing like Buck Angel. They're nothing like any genuine transsexual person that lives on this planet. And because they don't actually transition. Taking testosterone and chopping off your boobs doesn't immediately make you trans. You have to have gender dysphoria to be trans. And clearly this person is not gender dysphoric if she can look the way that she does. This girl did irreversible body modifications to herself. This is not just as simple as a tattoo or getting one of those weird things like inserted into your arm. Those can be removed. All of this cannot. So when she detransitions in less than a year, she's going to look like a troll the rest of her life. Because instead of going to therapy and getting help for the clear mental issues that she has going on, she decided to inject steroids and get a double mastectomy. She chose to mutilate herself instead of get help. Coming from someone who is happy with his transition, transitioning isn't a cure-all. It's not. I'm not cured of everything, every ailment that I've ever had just because I transitioned. I definitely still have mental issues, and I have a lot of things that I need to work through as a person. That's the only reason I'm still on antidepressants despite being so happy. And it might even just be those. Who knows? But no, it's not a cure-all. It really isn't. And if you don't genuinely have gender dysphoria and you do transition, you're just making it worse for yourself, in my genuine opinion. This girl made her life worse by doing all this to herself. One of us is clearly more unstable. Yeah, it's you. It's you, actually. Big Bungus. Her fucking username. Okay, to have the username Big Bungus before you go and you harass people on the internet is really fucking funny. I can't take a single thing that this person says seriously just because her username is Big Bungus. But, yeah, the more unstable one is probably the one telling somebody else to go kill themselves because you don't agree with them. I think that is the more unstable person, and it sure isn't me doing that. So if anyone here is unstable mentally, it is you. It's her. It is her who is really unstable mentally. Because what the fuck is going on here? That's not me doing that shit. That's you. That's her doing that. I'm not going onto some random lib's fucking profile and going on all their posts, reading every single post that they've made, watching every video that they've ever made, and then telling that person to kill themselves. I'm not deranged, actually. I don't stalk a person by watching every video that they've ever made before harassing them and putting words into that person's mouth. I don't do that. So, yeah, the unstable one is her. Clearly, she's also so unstable that she put herself through all of this work. All this shit she got done on herself. And still wants to look like a woman. And it wasn't only like the top surgery that made me realize that this person isn't trans, but just like her whole body structure. If you just look at her, you can just tell. I mean, like, female bodies look different than male bodies, and this person clearly has a female body. And your body does change on testosterone. You do start to, redistribute fat into other places. That's probably why she has a beer gut, or the beginning of one. And I don't even fucking know, man. Like, it's kind of hard to look at her, I'm gonna be honest. Like, ugly people on the outside are usually, like, the funny ones. But then when you mix ugly people with trans ideology, you get someone who is ugly inside and out. That's what this person is. Like, that's why they all turn themselves horrendous. Like, why do they literally all make themselves as ugly as humanly fucking possible when they are suddenly influenced by trans ideology. It's just something that occurs with every single one of them. And you can't genuinely prove that wrong, because if you look up the word non-binary and you go and you look at pictures, or if you look up non-binary person, every single one looks exactly the same. Like you just took a cookie cutter down every single one of them the same. Some of them are skinnier than others, but usually they're really big. So yeah, I don't feel bad for saying that. So it's weird you can't tell when scars are over a decade healed, which is what happens when you don't let teens transition when their doctors agree, by the way. No, that's not. But we're going to start with the healed part. So what? Why does it matter if they're healed? I also have healed scars. And I don't go tell people to kill themselves because I disagree with their opinions. You do that. I don't. And I also have healed over scars. Also, it doesn't have to be 10 years for your scars to heal white like that. If anything, I feel like they'd be less visible 10 years healed. But then again, I haven't exactly seen scars that are over a decade healed. So, because mine are only a few years and they're white. They're white. Just like hers. But again, she has self-harmed in the past and she still is telling somebody else to go and self-harm. So she's still lower than I am. And however long she's had her healed scars doesn't matter, because she's still self-harmed and she's still telling somebody else to self-harm despite going through that. It's what happens when you don't let teens transition when their doctors agree. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because kids don't actually understand what happens during a transition. So I can guarantee you were still going to self-harm. Because this person isn't trans, clearly. This person has a lot of other things going on with her brain. So even if she had been allowed to transition, she would have still cut herself, because she is just mentally ill in every way possible. And if she wasn't, then she wouldn't be telling somebody to kill themselves after she clearly went through that stuff herself. And if kids don't know about transitioning and they aren't introduced to it, then they aren't going to know exactly like why they're feeling like that. Like, I can look back at what I did by trying to actually like cut body parts off myself, and that's like clear signs of gender dysphoria, because I was going for the parts of me that are female. Yeah, you can look at that and you can say, yeah, that's definitely from gender dysphoria. But I didn't know that my gender was wrong. I didn't know that I was going to transition when I got older because I didn't know what transition was. I just knew that I hated body parts. So, this doesn't actually give me anything. Because you cut up your arm doesn't mean that was from gender dysphoria. And if you had gender dysphoria, you wouldn't be doing all this. So, you didn't prove anything to anyone, actually. No, she did prove something. She proved that she is super fucking mentally ill. And she proved that we need restrictions back on hormones and surgeries and sex changes in general. That's what she proved to me. She didn't prove that teenagers should be able to transition. And I don't care if her scars were genuinely from that, which they aren't. I just know it by looking at her. But if they were genuinely from that, I would still disagree with transitioning teenagers. Because I can guarantee you those kids are going to do a lot worse than cut their arms when they grow up and realize that they aren't trans. You know, like the little boy who was molested and mutilated by John Money. How he grew up and ended up taking his life because he was turned into a girl when he wasn't a girl. I feel horrible for that little kid who grew up into a very mentally ill adult. That's what happens when you transition children. That's what happens when you raise children as the opposite sex, when they don't understand it. They kill themselves. I am honestly just waiting for a news article to come out about Jazz Jennings taking her life. I'm going to hope it doesn't, but with how bad her mental health is right now and what she's been through, just being turned into a girl before she could understand it and, you know, being on TV since the moment she came out, like to the extent that they had the film crew in her operating room for her vaginoplasty. I would not be surprised if she did end up taking her life. But I don't wish it. I hope that she can get the help that she needs before it gets worse. But Jazz Jennings is clearly very mentally ill. And it's because she was not allowed to grow up the way that she was supposed to. And this was all done to her. That's why you don't transition teenagers. That's why you don't transition kids who are younger than teenagers. Because they are going to hurt themselves a lot worse than taking a knife to their arm. Both situations are horrible. Don't get me wrong. Don't take anything I said out of context. Everything that happens to kids when they are mentally ill is wrong and sad. But mutilating your child's whole body isn't going to heal them. They won't be healed when they go through that. They won't be able to heal when they do end up detransitioning like this girl is going to do. Because I can see it. I can see it. And Buck Angel even said so too. When I sent him these messages, he said that that she's going to detransition. So, yeah, you can heal your self-harm scars, but you can't heal a suicide from a sex change that should have never been given to a child. So I'm still 100% against sex changes in children. Whether or not this girl did that to herself because she thought that she was the opposite sex. And also looking at her, it doesn't look like she is as old as she says she is. But who knows? I don't know. They all tend to be like 18 to 22. And that's what she looks like. She doesn't look like she's in her mid-20s. Unless she means teen as in 12. which is definitely not a teenager. So if you're 22, you weren't a teenager when you were allegedly doing that to yourself because your doctors wouldn't mutilate you. Good on your parents for not allowing you to do that, by the way. That's good parenting. Not letting your kid transition just because they say they should. That's good parenting. Whatever you did to yourself is what you did to yourself. So, like, nobody pushed me to harm myself. I did it to myself. So, no one pushed you to actually harm yourself because your mental health was bad. You had your own free will to do that. So, stop blaming your parents, because she's clearly blaming her parents. Stop blaming your parents for you doing that to yourself. Because you could have stopped all this from happening. I'm not going to say that, like, parents aren't responsible for, making their children so mentally ill that they do go to that. But at the end of the day, you do have your own free will as a person to not do that. I don't know. That's just me. That's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, you can disagree with me, but people have free will. Obviously, to an extent, these people definitely don't. They're sheeps. They're sheep. They follow everything that the cult says. I think it's really funny how she goes by Daniel now. That's not a very gender neutral name. And B, like, girl, what? Promoter of insane horror behavior. And you're aromantic. Wow. Nobody would have guessed that. Maybe you're actually just like that because you are so hideous inside and out that you could never actually get anybody to like you. So you just choose to say, oh, I don't actually have a partner because I'm aromantic. I feel like that's how 95% of these aromantic, agender, asexual people are. Because, I mean, like, yeah, sure, you could not want sex, but not wanting to have a partner at all, it's like basically against your human DNA. Like, everything about humans, like, pushes us to get a mate. So basically, she's just a femcel, is actually what she's saying. And she has 200 followers and has the audacity to put comments like that. Girl, you're nothing. You're genuinely nothing. 200 people follow you, and she's getting 3 likes on every single one of her posts. People actually don't care about this person. And I think that's why she's so mad. She's so mad because she isn't getting the attention that she wants. She wants to get attention. If she didn't want attention, she wouldn't have done this shit to herself. She wouldn't have turned herself into a literal troll if she actually, didn't want attention. You see, real transsexuals are transitioning to not get attention. I'm transitioning to just live my life. To just be. That's what I'm transitioning for. I'm not transitioning because somebody told me to do it or because I want everyone to look at me as someone oppressed. I want to be like everybody else. I want people to look at me and not think twice. Obviously, I get weird looks all the time simply because I have a neck tattoo. I had a lot of people look at me weird when I had a shit ton of piercings. And obviously I was going to get a lot of attention because of those things. And I just have to live with that. Because I made a stupid fucking decision. Don't get neck tattoos. Actually don't do it. stupid decision. I'm trying to get it off. But, yeah. The reason that these people do these things to themselves is to attract attention. That's why, like, her friend's hair is bright pink and shaved, and she's wearing a top that is so small that her massive tits and massive gut are spilling out of it. That's why they're doing it, because they want people to look at them. If they didn't want people looking at them in some type of way, doesn't matter what way you look at them, then they wouldn't do this to themselves. Man, I mean, yeah, people who do this are basically just telling the world around them that they need genuine help. Don't get me wrong, I love dyed hair. I dyed my hair all sorts of crazy ass colors. I had bright blue hair, purple hair, red hair. You know, I had all the fucking colors under the sun at some point. And I have stopped doing that because of what it has become. Now, these people use that to attract other cult members. If somebody sees someone who looks exactly like them, they know, oh shit, yeah, that person's in my cult. So I'm going to go become friends with them so that we have more cult members. And typically, the most colorful plants and animals tend to be the most toxic. Usually, bright colors mean stay away from me because I am incredibly toxic. So, judging by the way these people look here and every other person like them, we can see that also works for humans. Because these people clearly very toxic, especially the little troll right here. She's the most toxic. I don't know if the pink-haired big one has said the things that this other one has, but since they're friends, I can only assume. I wouldn't be friends with somebody who often told people to kill themselves just because of their opinions. Usually people only do that when they are the same way. I know I'm being like really mean by talking about her like this, but she also did tell me to kill myself several times for actually no reason. And she's clearly just very miserable. But anyways, I did post the screenshots on TikTok, and people didn't like it. Here you go. Instead of seeing what this person wrote, instead of looking at that and seeing anything wrong with what she wrote, instead, these people say, you're a freak, I think this person is right, you suck. Thanks. She didn't just say that I suck. She told me to kill myself. And she said some really god-awful things to me. So that's not just saying I suck. That's actually wishing death upon me. And this person says, don't engage with this individual. He wants attention and hates himself. And she doesn't. The chick who literally mutilated herself and continued to be a girl after mutilating herself isn't the one that wants attention. It's me. Okay. Yeah, the one who said all that shit to me on Instagram isn't the one that wants attention. It's me. I'm the one who hates myself. Where have I once said I hate myself? Never have said that currently. I've never said that in any of my videos currently or in past videos because I don't hate myself. If I hated myself, people would fucking know. I wouldn't be putting my face all over the internet. So, This person's just wrong. And too late, bro. You also engaged with me, so thank you for the engagement. It's really funny how this person says that I'm a freak. For what? For speaking? For, like, speaking actual facts and not thinking that it's okay to tell people to take their life because they were talking about something that you don't like? Okay. Just tell me you hate yourself without fucking telling me. Like, actually, you genuinely hate yourself. If you think that someone who is actually being degraded to this degree is the bad guy, you actually hate yourself and everybody in your community. Everyone in this community is horrible. Like I said, this is not the first time that I have had problems with this. I have had many people tell me to kill myself. I've had many people threaten to kill me. I've had people find my old address that my dad still lives at. I'm not worried about him because he's a police officer, but they still got my address and still wanted to find me to kill me because I spoke up and said that there are issues in the QIA. How do these people think that I'm the deranged one? It's fucking deranged to find somebody's address because you want to kill them. That's deranged. Saying the statistic that homosexuals are more likely to molest kids is not deranged. That is an actual statistic that has been calculated and is online as proof. How am I genuinely deranged? Genuinely, how am I deranged? I want to know. This is so fucked up. This is really fucking stupid. But I did send these to Buck Angel, and he also agrees with me that this girl is really, really miserable. Because anyone who is happy with their life doesn't say this shit to someone. If you are telling somebody to take their life because you don't agree with them, you are the most miserable human on planet Earth. I actually think that she is really upset and probably jealous that I am happy with my transition and that I am actually passing to the world. And, you know, I have found peace with myself and I'm able to say that I know that I'm a female, and that's peace with myself. Coming to terms with my sex is me finding peace in myself. And like I said, my mental health is much better for it. And, yeah. I mean, if you can't realize what you were born as, you are a very miserable person and you genuinely don't like yourself. If you don't know and accept the sex that you were born as, you actually hate yourself. Actually. I'm actually like at a point in my life where I'm starting to love myself, and that's why I can recognize that I was born a woman and that I am a female. Because if I still hated myself, I would be lying to myself and telling myself that I was a man, when I'm not a man. And I'll never be a man. And that's not a bad thing to say. It's actually a really good thing to say. Because if I didn't recognize my sex, I would not be trans. If I wasn't born a woman, I wouldn't be trans. If I was born a dude, I would just be a dude. And I wish that I had been born a dude. I genuinely wish I had been born a dude. But I would not be a trans man if I was born a man. I'd be a man. If we erase sex, then trans people are also erased. That's been said by several transsexuals, but the QIA Plus still refuses to see it, even though it is completely true. It is like the most true statement possible. Because if we were not the sex that we were born as and had gender dysphoria, we wouldn't be trans. If I didn't have gender dysphoria, then I would just be a woman. And yeah, again, if I had been born a man, I would just be a man. So what makes me trans is my sex. Because I have a mental disorder that makes me believe I should have been the opposite sex. That is what makes me trans. And obviously everything I've done to myself. I don't think that you're trans if you aren't actually working towards transitioning. Socially transitioning and medically transitioning are two totally different things. Obviously, this is irreversible. If I was to detransition, like, I'm cooked. I can't ever sound like a woman again. I will grow facial hair the rest of my life, So, and socially transitioning, obviously you can come back from that. I did. That's what happened when I socially detransitioned. I was able to go back to being a girl. Because I wasn't medically transitioning. I hadn't done anything irreversible to myself yet. So I do think that they are two different things. But if you don't actually want to medically transition while you're socially transitioning, if that isn't your end goal, if your end goal is not to live your life as the opposite sex quietly and blending into society, then you aren't trans. You can wear man clothes all you want and say that you are socially transitioned into a man, but you are not one. And you're not even a trans man. Because you actually have to want to transition to be a trans person. I know, that's really fucking crazy to say. And for some reason, controversial. I don't know why that's so bad to say and admit, because it's the fucking truth. If I wasn't medically transitioning right now, then I wouldn't be trans. Obviously, everybody starts somewhere. Social transition is needed to be trans. You need to know what it's like for people to at least kind of see you as the opposite sex. If trans people don't go through the social transition part of transitioning, then they don't actually know if that's what they want. When I came out in high school and was socially transitioning, I was much happier in public. Clearly wasn't at home because of the way that my stepmother treated me for being trans. But I felt better about myself after coming out. I was much more at ease in public. I was, I was happier being around people because they couldn't see me as a woman. At least not all the time. Obviously, I still had a really feminine face and really, really feminine voice. So, and I still have a feminine build. So, obviously, people back then saw me as a girl. But just knowing that some people saw me as a boy was better than nothing. And being able to socially transition helped alleviate enough of my gender dysphoria that I felt a little bit lighter. And now I'm just I'm floating. So social transition is crucial to transitioning and actually medically transitioning as well. If you don't medically transition or want to, then you just aren't trans. I've had some people say that if you detransitioned, then you were never trans in the first place. And here is what I think about that. I think that if you are a detransitioner who socially transitioned, went through the therapy, lived your life as the opposite sex for a certain amount of time, socially transitioned, and then you went on to medically transition because you wanted to medically transition. If you go through all of the steps of transitioning in the way that it is supposed to be done, then I believe that you were a trans person. If you go through all of the necessary steps to live your life as the opposite sex and you are putting in the effort to be the opposite sex and walk the world as the opposite sex, I believe that you are or were trans. Now, if a detransitioner was only socially transitioned, say one of these QIA plus members doesn't socially transition, uses they them or does socially transition, uses they them pronouns, and then never has the desire to medically transition and never medically transitions, I don't believe that person is trans. Simply because to be trans, you have to want certain things. There is actually certain criteria that you need to meet to be trans. And if you don't meet that criteria, then you're just not trans. There are plenty of detransitioners who went through every single necessary step and genuinely believed that they were supposed to be the opposite sex, and they were comfortable at the time living as the opposite sex. Those people are trans. Or were. They were trans. Which is why they're called detransitioners. It's in the fucking word. Just like how trans is in the word transition. You actually have to be trans and actually have to transition to be trans. But I get like death threats for that. For some reason, I'm sorry, but don't you have to, actually be the opposite sex or like act out the opposite sex to be trans? But, yeah, clearly this person is really, really unhappy with what she's done to herself. And I mean, just like the look, just the way that like her eyes look, just the way that her face looks, you can just tell that this person is incredibly unhappy. Like there's no real smiles in any of her photos. There is no genuine big I am very happy smiles. There just isn't. And I didn't see any in her profile at all. And yeah, if you are a genuinely happy person, then you would be smiling more. You would be smiling in your pictures. Because happy people smile in pictures. And you can tell when it's a fake smile. You can actually see it in a person's eyes. That's why people say that the eyes are the window to the soul, because you can see literally every emotion in the way that somebody looks in their eyes. And this person has a very, very unhappy look to her. She looks dead inside. She actually just looks dead inside. I don't see a hint of happiness on this girl's face. And if I didn't look at this person at all and I only saw her comments, I would have immediately got that this person's unhappy. If I only saw one picture of this person, like this one specifically with her blonde hair and those horrendous eyebrows and the like light blue makeup, you can just tell in her face in this picture. Like if I saw this picture, I would look at this and I'd say that person's incredibly unhappy. You can just see it. You can see how sad she is in this picture. But yeah, she's so unhappy that she not only doesn't smile in her photos with anyone, even when she's like with her friends, she doesn't smile. But she also tells people who are happy with their transition to kill themselves. When I see people who are happy with their transition and they found a point in their life where they were finally able to enjoy living, I would be ecstatic for those people, no matter what their fucking opinion is. And not a single person that I have seen from the QIA Plus who has done some sort of body modification, whether it be top surgery or whether it be hormones, they all have a dead look in their eyes where they are so very unhappy that they can't even smile at, like genuinely smile at the camera. because there is a way to tell when a smile is faked or not. It's really obvious. I don't know. Maybe I'm just better at reading people, but I can just tell that this person is really sad and that she really needs help. If that wasn't clear enough from her comments. I mean, no happy person ever says that to anyone else. I have said the worst things to people when I am at my worst point in my life. And that's how every human is, because they don't know what to do with their self-hatred, and so they take it out on everybody else around them. And for the simple fact that I am accepting of the fact that I am considered a true scum, and because I'm a Republican, and because I'm voting for Trump, and because I don't agree with these people, they take out all their unhappiness on me and the people like me. That's why people like Blair White and Buck Angel get the most horrible messages and horrible comments. And that's starting to change because, more and more people are finding their channels and, listening to them speak and everything. And they're noticing that, hey, it isn't all trans people. Look, there's normal ones. They're getting less hate comments. But obviously these people are still making hate comments and are still going after transsexuals. And they're so unhappy now that the people who are happy with their transitions have separated, that those people are starting to adopt transsexual as a new thing. I've seen non-binary with transsexual in their bio. Those people aren't transsexual. You have to actually want to be the opposite sex to be transsexual and work to present as the opposite sex to the world to be transsexual. And you kind of need to medically do a sex change to be transsexual. So these people are just so unhappy when they see a really happy transsexual person. When they already hate your views and they see, oh, this person believes in this stuff. This person's voting for Trump. This person thinks that he's a female. Then they already see that and they already hate the opinion. And then they, on top of that, see that the trans person is much happier than they are, despite having views that, the transgender disagrees with. They hate that. They hate to think that any Republican LGBT person could ever be happy. They hate seeing that. And that's why I try my hardest to not look miserable on camera. And I don't think that I look miserable on camera. I mean, I don't feel miserable. And I think that if a person doesn't feel miserable, it shows. Even if I don't talk super, kid YouTubers do, oh my God, guys, I did this today. Super excited. Even then, I think that, I would be able to tell. I mean, I can tell that Blair White is incredibly happy the way that she is, even though she talks so aggressive on camera. Just because I can see it in her face. I can see it, in her mannerisms. Just the way that she acts on camera. It's really clear to see that she is a happy person. And, yeah, if she wasn't, we'd be able to tell. There'd be less energy in what she says. Because either the people, these QIA plus people, either they are screaming at the top of their lungs or they are talking in a very, very, very monotone voice. And yeah, that's why I think that people have said that I look unhappy. Because I when I'm following a script, I look and sound really monotone. And I don't mean to do that. But I'm working on that just because I don't want to seem like these people. I don't want to seem like I hate myself and I don't like my transition and that I'm not happy where I'm at. I could definitely be happier, and I mean, I definitely still criticize parts of myself that haven't really changed that much, or the fact that I still have body parts that obviously are female. But at this point in my life, I am very happy. And I hope that I show that on camera a little bit. at least when I'm not reading from a script. But no, it's pretty easy to tell that this person is really, really, really miserable. And I actually hope that she gets help, because it's not fun living like that. And going back to the scars thing, I can't see the rest of her body. I don't know if there's any fresh scars, because there could be, and she could be just lying. That could be why she doesn't show anything below her chest. I don't know. Nobody knows. Because we don't live her life. We don't live her life and don't know what is going on really in her life other than what we see on the internet. And I don't know her personality. I believe that she is making fun of my voice because she probably doesn't have a very deep voice, but I don't know that 100% because I don't know this person. I can just guess that by the way that she's talking. Because if I was unhappy to this extent, like, and hated my voice, and then saw a trans person with a deep voice who passed, I would not be happy. I would be jealous. I'm not going to say that I would leave a fucking comment like that, dehumanizing said trans person, but I would definitely feel a little shitty. I'd feel a little bit jealous. I'm still kind of jealous of trans people who pass very, very, very well. And it makes me like, oh shit, I don't look like this person. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm working to get there. This person isn't working to get there. She is fucked mentally, and she needs genuine help that isn't a transition. But she thinks that this transition is supposed to be helping her, and because it's not, she's miserable. She sees that it helped me. She hates that I'm not as miserable as she is, despite going through the process of transitioning. That's what I can see just by looking at her photos. And, you know, obviously reading what she says to me. I don't know that 100% though. I don't actually know what she is and how she is in real life because I don't know her. I can just say for a fact that happy people don't talk to other people like that. Happy people smile in their pictures and don't look dead inside. This person isn't happy. And I'm sure that everybody else can agree. I mean, it's not rocket science to be able to tell when someone is genuinely unhappy, and I can actually see this in this person's face. And it seems like the trenders who do go after a transsexual's transition the most are the ones who look terrible in their transition. The only ones who I have really like observed who are this unhappy and say these things to a transsexual about their transition and make fun of their transition and say, you look like a girl. You sound like a girl. Oh, look at its little T voice. Those people, when I look at them, I can tell how fucking insecure they are about their transition. Because they look bad. They don't pass. This girl clearly isn't passing as a man because of the way that she dresses. And because of how thin she is. Because she doesn't give man at all. And I'm sure she's incredibly insecure about that. Even though she doesn't want to be a trans man, she was obviously wanting something out of that transition. She clearly wanted something out of it, or else she would not have done it. And she thought that it would fix her, and it didn't. Because pumping yourself full of steroids isn't healing you. What would heal this girl is therapy and other medications. Testosterone isn't going to fix this. It's going to make it worse. I ate some food, so I think I'm going to be like less aggressive now. But I think that the QIA plus doesn't actually understand just how crucial hormones are to, like your emotions, just everything going on with your organs, just your homeostasis in general relies so much on your hormones. That's why women, their levels of anger goes up when they're on their period, because they have more testosterone running through their body. That's why men are just so aggressive in general, because of the testosterone. And, men with more estrogen are typically more feminine. And the opposite goes for women, with testosterone. So when someone who is already incredibly mentally unstable starts putting hormones in their body that don't belong in their body, of course it's going to become this absolute disaster. Like, I already have anger issues. I've had anger issues since I was a baby. And I know this from my mother. She told me I was a very angry child. Just before I even remember anything, I was just a very angry child. I've always been angry, and it got worse as I was growing up. Obviously, that's usually how it is for everybody. But because I was so angry all the time, putting testosterone on top of that has made my outbursts of anger 10 times worse. 10 times worse. I did not start punching walls until I started taking testosterone. And I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of doing that at all. It's really embarrassing that I get so angry with whatever I'm angry at that I punch a fucking wall. Okay? I've gotten way better about it. After being on T for a year now, I've, been able to understand how to calm myself down a little bit better. Because obviously I'm new to this. I don't know how my body is going to react to all this. It could get worse again. If I up my dose, it could get worse again. And I could be way more angry all the time. But if you're already mentally unwell and you're putting such powerful drugs, especially testosterone, in your body, when it's already, your brain is already all screwed up because of your mental illnesses, you are going to be the worst version of yourself. Because testosterone does not fix your mental disorders. It doesn't fix them. So, thinking that putting a hormone that doesn't belong in your body into your body will fix your body and will fix your brain is so fucking wrong. Especially testosterone. You'll get way emotional on estrogen. Like, I know that males who take estrogen and they're already screwed up start getting really emotional. Look at fucking Dylan Mulvaney sobbing on camera because of the dumbest shit. Because supposedly he's taking estrogen. And I'm just saying this as if he is. I don't believe that he is, personally. But as someone who, had a lot of estrogen in my body, I know for a fact that when you are upset with something, you cry a lot. That's why women are typically seen as more, emotional. That's why they're seen as more emotional, because estrogen makes you show emotion in a totally different way than testosterone does. When I was extremely upset in the past, I would get really angry and I would start crying. Now, when I get really fucking angry, I just hit things. I haven't been that angry in quite a while, but because of the testosterone in my body, when I get angry, I take out that anger like a male typically would. And it's not because I'm not, talking about my feelings, because I know a lot of people say, well, men hit things because they can't talk about their feelings, but that's not really true. I can talk about my feelings and I will still want to hit something. Like it doesn't change that. You just talking about your feelings doesn't, I personally don't believe that it has the same effect that taking it out physically does. That's why working out is so good, and running and like kickboxing, you know, just working your body to physically get out that anger is going to do so much more for you than just talking about your feelings. Obviously, talking about your feelings is really, really good. And I think it can definitely relieve a lot of stress. That's why I like to talk so much about, you know, anything that I've gone through. I do talk a lot about this stuff that I've gone through. And it definitely does help. But a physical release, when I do a workout, it works so much better than just talking about my feelings. So you need to put those two together. And I mean, men don't usually do that. They don't usually talk about their feelings. They just hit something and go. You know, I'm not saying that's all men, obviously, because it's not all men. But yeah, I mean, anyways, but yeah, hormones literally contribute to everything that you're feeling. And, you know, how your brain reacts to certain things. So this person, this girl, she has clearly taken testosterone for a great while. I mean, at least over 2 years, because she has a fucking beard. And her reaction to what she saw in my video offended her to a point where she lashed out like a man would. I'm not saying exactly like a man would. I mean, I've met so many men who don't take out their anger with physical, you know, like hitting things. Because, you know, it's embarrassing. It doesn't make you look good. It makes you look scary. Nobody wants to be around someone who's hitting things. But she is clearly being affected by the testosterone to this extent that she's getting this angry at what I said. And with myself, I definitely noticed that I was getting a lot more angry at people's words than I was before I started my medical transition and started taking testosterone. Words affected me a lot more after I started taking T. Like back in high school, when my stepmother would go on these long rants calling me all these horrible things, I could just be like, fucking whatever, you know, like think, oh, she's just a bitch, whatever, who cares? And I could just move on. But I would get so angry at comments that were left on my profile that I was angry all the time because I would read them over and over and over again, and it would keep making me angry. That's not a good thing. That's really not a good thing. You shouldn't do that. If you know that, like from experience, if you know that you're going to be that angry at whatever is on your screen that you cannot help, then you should not be making content. That's why I stopped making videos for so long, because they were making me so mad all the time online that I was constantly angry, just always pissed off. I was snappy with everybody. I, was writing back nasty things. I was making really aggressive videos, and I'm really glad that I stopped. I'm really glad that I gave myself the time to be able to figure out how to deal with all of these new things that I'm feeling because of the hormones I'm taking. Hormones are so fucking important to the human body. They make everything in your brain work. Like, if your hormones are even slightly off, you are a totally different person. And I mean, this girl clearly doesn't know how to take out her anger and her own problems in a healthy manner. I think that she should get therapy, and I think she should stay off of the internet where people will disagree with her if she has this kind of reaction to anyone who doesn't agree with her. It's not a good thing to be on the internet when you are so mentally vulnerable like she is. If she wasn't mentally vulnerable, she would not be reacting like this to something that doesn't affect her life whatsoever. She could have scrolled past that video instead of listening to it, instead of continuing to listen to the entire thing, instead of writing a comment and making herself more and more angry. Because she's clearly made herself even more angry by writing those comments and then going back to my page, looking at what I made in response, and then making more comments. She just kept making herself more and more and more and more angry. That's all that she was doing. And now I have all this content. So if you don't want videos made about how you don't know how to fucking control yourself because of the hormones that you decided to take, that you haven't been able to figure out what you're supposed to do to control yourself when you're put on literal steroids, then you should probably just not have an Instagram account. Because this is unacceptable. If you cannot figure out how to calm yourself down enough to not tell people to kill themselves, then you need to get the fuck off the internet. I don't care. You know what? Actually, I was going to say I don't care what the person said. You shouldn't tell them that. But if it's actually like a genuine pedophile, go for it. Go for it. I don't care. Do it. Because those people deserve it. They deserve it. But that's not what I said in any video. I never said that all trans people are pedophiles. If I said that, I would be calling myself a pedophile. That is the last thing that I am. I would hunt them down myself if I could. Like, I've genuinely thought about actually being a pedo catcher, especially now that they were like getting away with hitting people. I think that would be awesome to me, but I'm not a big enough person to do that, at least not yet. But yeah, no, those are the only people that deserve to be treated like that. That deserve that kind of treatment. And people who severely harm other people. And as far as I know, I haven't severely hurt any person. I haven't beat the shit out of somebody. I haven't killed someone. I haven't sexually assaulted someone. I don't touch kids. Like, there's no reason that I should be getting that kind of reaction from this person. But still, she was unable to control herself to this extent. And I blame that on her terrible mental health that is evident in everything that she says, does, and looks like in all of her photos, and the fact that she put testosterone on top of that. That is just a recipe for disaster. She is a recipe for disaster. And we clearly saw that in everything that she was saying. This is exactly why therapy is a crucial part of transitioning. I should be in a therapist right now. I should be in therapy right now. And I was in therapy for a little while. It wasn't for very long because, one of them only wanted to talk about the fact that I'm trans, even though I told her that I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about my trauma because I'm good with my transition now. Like, I am happy where I am. I don't need to constantly talk about it. But if I could talk about my childhood trauma, then maybe this therapist would be able to find, what could have caused me to have such severe gender dysphoria. I think that, a lot of factors into gender dysphoria have to do with your environment and what happens to you as a kid. I definitely think that with the sexual trauma that I've been through, as it is with a lot of females, contributed to make this worse, to make my gender dysphoria worse. And yes, I am very happy right now, and I definitely don't believe that I could live as a woman, but that doesn't mean that not every person could have their gender dysphoria healed by going to therapy. Because I did do therapy. I went to several different therapists after I came out. I have been in therapy since I was 6 years old. I've been into tons of different therapists. And I'm still very uncomfortable with where I am. Not now, more with where I was, with my sex and gender and whatever. I was very uncomfortable with it throughout this entire time. So it's clear Not everybody can cure it with therapy, but try. Just try first. Before you go to this extent, before you go all the way, therapy needs to be done. Because there genuinely are some girls out there who do transition specifically because of rapid onset gender dysphoria due to sexual abuse. That is something that we see a lot of the time. And you ask just about every single trans person, and just about every single trans person, male or female, has been through some sort of sexual trauma. I don't think humans realize just how bad sexual trauma actually affects kids, especially kids under, like the age of puberty. Because after puberty, your brain starts to be able to handle those different things like that more than you are able to under puberty age. Whether that, I started puberty at 9, so between the ages of 9 and 14 typically. It's a lot worse before that. And I'm not going to say that this person has been through that, but with how common that it is, it's possible. It's just like a huge, huge thing that goes into, hating your sex and hating your body and your gender and everything like that. There's a lot of girls who say, well, if I was a man, then this wouldn't have happened, and they try to do it to protect themselves because they think that it can protect you. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to. It won't, because there will always be someone out there. There will always be someone out there. And I don't want to, discourage people or anything, but going through a sex change won't make it easier. It doesn't. I was groomed and sexually abused by another trans man when I was out in high school at 16. And that was another trans man. And I thought that I was supposed to be safe with this person because they were trans. And obviously that's not true. And then at my last job, I had this way older guy who was giving me really creepy vibes after I started to look more like a teenage boy. You know what I found out about him? He had raped a 16-year-old boy 12 years ago. So there's going to be somebody. If it's going to happen, there will be someone. Doing a sex change isn't going to keep you safe 100%. I have definitely noticed less leering looks from people, but that doesn't mean that I am safe from it happening. I went way off track there. Holy shit. Okay, geez, sorry. I have ADHD so bad, and I'm trying to fucking figure that out. But anyways, yeah. Therapy is something that absolutely needs to be done, and it needs to be put as, a restriction on a sex change. It needs to be part of what you need to go through before you can get a sex change. Because there are so many people who, if they had just gone to therapy and figured out this is the root of that, now I don't have to, do a sex change and think that that's going to help me. I don't have to do this. If you figure out the root of the problem, a lot of the time it's going to help you. Even just figuring out the root of the problem, and, if you still feel that way and you still feel like you can't live as your sex, then you go on to transition, but you still know why. And that helps a lot. It just helps to know why things happened. And I don't know why I'm trans. And I don't want to speculate why, because I started showing signs so early, and I really want to, hope that something horrible didn't happen to me before then to make me trans. I don't think it's every case of gender dysphoria that the person was sexually abused, of course, but just getting to the root of why it happened can be incredibly helpful, and it can help people actually heal and make it so that they don't have to go through the grueling process of a sex change. And this girl should absolutely be in therapy. She needs to be in every kind of therapist because she has fucked up her life. She will never be able to come back from this sex change. She will always grow a beard. She will always have a deeper voice. She will always have body hair. She will never get her breasts back. She is stuck like this. Even if in a year she decides that she doesn't want to be a trans man anymore, she is stuck like this. And she will never be able to go back. And that is why we need the criteria that we had for so long when it came to sex changes. You had to do a year of therapy while socially transitioning. A year as living as the opposite sex, socially transitioned while doing therapy. Then you have to be on hormones for at least a year before you got top surgery. It might be 2 years. I've heard both. I've heard it's both. But typically I believe that it's 1 year after you start therapy and do, the social transition and the 1 year of hormones. So technically 2 years after you come to start your sex change. But now you can just walk in and you can just get it. I literally called Planned Parenthood and said, hey, I want to set up an appointment because I want to start testosterone. I'm a trans man. And not even a week later, I was 20 minutes away from the clinic itself, sitting in my car, just barely over the border of Washington from Idaho, which is where I live, sitting in a parking lot of a janky ass gas station on the phone, not even a video call, just on the phone with one of the providers at this Planned Parenthood. She asked me some very, very basic questions. When did you start hating your body? Have you always hated your body? Do you feel uncomfortable with these parts? Have you ever, seen yourself as a man? Very basic questions that everyone asks trans people. And, I answered all of her questions and, told her like, hey, just so you know, I do have a heart condition. I have a thyroid condition or a thyroid disorder. She asked me what those were. I told her. She put me on hold for a couple of minutes. Allegedly, she called up some doctor, asked them if they could put me through HRT. Not even 2 minutes. Didn't even take 2 minutes before I was off hold and she was telling me that I could get on testosterone. I probably shouldn't be, honestly, because if I was not on my medications that I am to help regulate these things, I could probably be dead because of how strong testosterone is, because of how your thyroid reacts with your hormones. Like, it's literally part of your hormone system. Like, it regulates that. So if it's fucked up, then it's not going to be able to regulate all the testosterone that you're putting in your body. But there was no guidelines. And I was on testosterone by that Friday. I called on Monday or Tuesday. I believe it was Tuesday, because that was the day I had off work. Tuesday. And I was on testosterone that Friday. That is not okay. That is not okay. I don't care how bad your dysphoria is. You need to go through every step that you have to before you start a sex change. I should have been in therapy when I called Planned Parenthood. And obviously I had been to different therapists before that, and none of them disagreed and said that, no, I don't have gender dysphoria. No one ever said anything about that. And I've been feeling this for my entire life, and it was the right choice for me, but it could easily not be the right choice for somebody else. It was clearly not the right choice for this girl. She should not have been put on testosterone. She should not have been allowed to remove her breasts. The moment I went to see, the very first appointment that I went to see my new gender doctor, because I left Planned Parenthood. I left Planned Parenthood because they just were not doing the blood work. Like, I was told that I would need to do blood work every time I went in there. Second time I went in there, they didn't even do labs. They didn't draw any blood for me and test it before they upped my dose. That can be fatal. That can be fatal. And they did that. And I went in and I said, hey, I'm having excruciating stomach pain right now. Like where my uterus is. Why is this happening? And she said that my hips were narrowing. She said my hips were narrowing. That cannot fucking happen. Are you serious? And they're telling these young people, these kids who have just turned 18, 15-year-olds, 16, 17, 18, that this can happen. And then they brush it off, like I did, for a little while. And I wasn't seeing the same doctor when I went back to Planned Parenthood for the next appointment. I saw a totally different person. So all this lady knew about me was what it had on my chart. That is all she knew. She didn't know anything about me whatsoever. So I went and I actually got a genuine doctor who specializes in this. And she's been amazing. I love her. She's a great person. I think she's really awesome. You know, she's been really good about monitoring my T levels and, you know, making sure that I am healthy and all that. But the first appointment, the moment she came in the room, she asked me when I wanted top surgery. Immediately. I didn't even know her name. And she was asking me when I wanted top surgery. And at that point, I wasn't wanting top surgery because I was trying to work out to give myself pecs instead of having to get top surgery. But with my metabolism, it's been really, really hard. And I have brought it up with her, but it's been a year now. It's been a year of me being on T. And I'm able to see how it affects me now. And it's still going to be longer before I could get that surgery. Then with my hysterectomy, it was definitely a little bit harder to get that. I mean, it typically is with hysterectomies. If I had been, you know, presenting as a woman, I would not have been able to get it. Just period. My first insurance company said that I needed to get a letter from a psychiatrist saying that I was mentally fit for the surgery and that there wasn't anything, you know, wrong making me want this surgery just because, you know. I ended up finding out that the pain in my stomach after months and months and months of talking to my gynecologist and my gender doctor and my endocrinologist, after talking to all three of these doctors, it took over half a year. It was not even a month on testosterone when I started feeling this pain. And not even half a year later, I am unable to walk. I am unable to work. I'm unable to sleep, eat, and breathe. It was so painful. And all my doctors were like, we don't know what's wrong. And then I found Buck Angel's channel and found out about atrophy. And I was telling my doctor about that. They ran a shit ton of tests and they found out that basically one of my ovaries had moved so close to my uterus that it was practically attached to the side of it. So that was causing so much pain. I don't know exactly if it was atrophy. They didn't tell me what was wrong after I got the surgery. They didn't tell me anything. They told me that, well, your ovary's right here. This is probably the problem. And because of that, I was able to get a hysterectomy. But I also believe that it was because I am trans. Obviously, they see that I have testosterone on my list of medications. And they were really, really quick to accept it. I mean, the list, because they got a list of benefits that the insurance company would cover and what they wouldn't. and or what the doctor needed to fight for, and I assumed that it was going to take a lot of battle to get the hysterectomy. But I call my doctor because, I have less than a month until this surgery, and I'm like, hey, am I going to be able to get it, like, with insurance? And she said, oh, yeah, they didn't even fight us on it. They just said that it's part of your insurance. And then not too long ago, I actually found out that sex changes are becoming, available through insurance, and they're starting to pay for those more. So that could definitely be it, because usually they fight, But because I'm trans, I was able to get that surgery. And I am incredibly grateful for being able to get a surgery that likely saved my life. But it was like really easy. All I had to do was say that I was trans, and be in this pain. And instead of the insurance company saying just remove the ovary, they were just like, okay, take out the whole uterus. What if that was this girl? What if it was this girl who went in there for that surgery and she ended up a year later wanting children? I don't think she could have kids because of her clearly being on T for so long, but there are so many people that go on these drugs who end up regretting it and end up wanting children down the line, and they can't have kids. Or if they can have a kid by some miracle, then they can't breastfeed their kid because they don't have a chest anymore. It's very specific people that this should be done to. And the QIA Plus is full of people who should not be getting these surgeries just because they aren't trans, because they don't have gender dysphoria, and they don't actually understand what happens when you're on testosterone for extended periods of time. They don't understand what happens when you get these surgeries. They just see that they can change themselves that instant and be a different person. That is what they see, and they hate themselves so much that they want to be somebody else. That's not how this works. You don't turn into someone else just because you transition. I'm still the same person that I was before. Just because I am doing a sex change does not mean that I am a different person entirely. My personality hasn't changed. My interests haven't changed. The only thing that's really changed a little bit is my sexuality, and I'm more attracted to women than men now, when it was the opposite. But really not much about myself has changed, except for my secondary sex characteristics, obviously. You don't become a different person when you do a sex change. You're still going to be just as miserable as you were before if you go through a sex change without needing it. This is why we need that criteria back in place that has to be met to be able to do these surgeries. They are so dangerous. These drugs are so dangerous. I didn't know anything. I knew basically nothing about all of the horrible side effects of testosterone until I started my transition. And until I found Buck Angel's channel, I still didn't know anything. I was just, looking at what I found online and going off of that. And even though I did, around 4 years of research into testosterone and all the side effects, I was not seeing anything about atrophy. I wasn't seeing anything about the damage it can do to your liver, etc. There's a lot of fatal side effects of testosterone. This is why trans people don't live as long. But now, I'm sure that this girl doesn't know anything about the side effects of testosterone. I'm sure she doesn't even see a gynecologist. Because why would she see a gynecologist when that doesn't affirm her gender? Because only women go to gynecologists, according to them. If you have female genitalia, you need to go to a gynecologist. Because you're not going to be able to walk in to a doctor that specializes in male genitalia and have him go down there and be able to do anything. Because he specializes in male genitalia, not female. Just because on the outside you present as a man doesn't mean that suddenly all of your organs are changed. You are still at a very high risk to everything getting fucked up if you don't go to a doctor. Sure, it's uncomfortable. I know how uncomfortable it is. I got a lot of people down there in the medical industry. It's not a fun experience, even for women who are perfectly fine being women, just women. Even for women, it's an uncomfortable experience. And I know that it can be even more uncomfortable for trans people, for trans men, because they already don't want anything to do with those parts. But you have to. You have to go to the doctor. If I didn't find Buck's channel and find out what atrophy was, and if I wasn't going to a gynecologist anymore, just because I came out as a trans man and started T, I could be dead. Just when I finally started to live the life that I have wanted for so fucking long, I could have died. All because of the drug that is saving my mental health. Yeah. Because of that. You need to go to the doctor. And the QIA Plus is pushing so hard that trans men are men and that trans women are women. And you know what that does to these kids who are super vulnerable and impressionable? That makes them think, oh, then I don't have to go take care of these parts because I'm not a woman anymore. I don't have to take care of these parts because I'm not a man anymore. If you're a trans man and you have a cervix, you are still able to get cervical cancer. If you still have your uterus, you can still get uterine cancer. I can still get ovarian cancer because I kept both of my ovaries. Trans women can still get prostate cancer or testicular cancer if they have that. If they have those parts. You can still have all of these horrible things happen to you because of your reproductive system that are known to happen to men and women if you don't get them checked. Your gender identity doesn't fucking matter. What matters is how healthy you are. If you're not healthy, then your transition was for nothing because you are going to die a very early death. But because the QIA is pushing so hard to say that trans men and women are biological men and women, they are going to make these children think that they don't need to go to the doctors that they need to go to. And that is so dangerous. This is something so fucking dangerous. It's life-threatening what these people are pushing. The girl that I've been talking about this whole time, that I've now been completely sidetracked from, is probably not taking care of herself. If she hates herself enough to this extent that she did all these things to her body, and she is coming after transsexuals who are actually happy in their transition, and she is still fine dressing as a woman, but she's not fine enough being a woman that she couldn't stay a woman, that I can guarantee she is not going to the doctor to do regular checks to make sure that she is not dying. She could be in liver failure right now and she wouldn't even fucking know. I don't know if it hurts to be in liver failure because obviously I'm not experiencing that. But if it doesn't, then she's fucked. And cancer typically doesn't hurt when you get it, at least not breast cancer. Tell me in the comments, I don't know. But if you don't take care of yourself when you're on these really powerful drugs, especially testosterone, it's so fucking powerful. One of the most powerful things you could ever put into your body is testosterone. If you don't take care of yourself when you're on these drugs, you are going to kill yourself. You worked to get yourself here, to be happy as this sex that you think that you were supposed to be born as, and you're not taking care of yourself now, you're dying. If you really wanted to live a happy, fulfilling life as the sex that you're transitioning to, then you would be taking care of yourself. I don't give a fuck if you're a they, them, and itself, a man, a woman, it doesn't matter. If you aren't taking care of your body, you're fucked. Simple as that. And girls like this are going to die if they do not get the help that they're supposed to have. She needs to be in therapy. She needs to go to a doctor. She is clearly gaining weight. And I know that you can gain weight on testosterone, but you know what else you can gain? Muscle. If she was working out on a regular basis, we'd be able to tell. And she's not. She's gaining weight. And you know what a lot of weight does? It kills you. This girl is no better than a drug addict. She is no better than someone with an eating disorder of overeating. She is no better than any other person who has a disorder that is so fucking bad that she doesn't take care of herself. Because she's not taking care of herself. She doesn't care about her health. All she cares about is shooting up with testosterone every week. Or hell, who knows, she might even be doing it every day. My own fucking gender doctor said that one of her patients was injecting several times a week. And so that patient's levels were off the damn charts of testosterone. If this person is doing that, she's going to die. That's just how it's going to be. And, you know, I don't wish death on this person. So I genuinely hope that she can get help that she needs. I'm not saying that she doesn't 100%. But just by the way that the way that she looks, she's not getting help for anything. Nothing. But also on top of that, just the way that the QIA Plus pushes that trans men and trans women are biological men and women, it's no wonder why people wouldn't want to go to the doctor of the sex that they are supposed to go to. You know, or the doctor that specializes in their sex parts. That's what I mean. But I just hope that she can get the help that she needs, because she clearly needs a lot. And I don't wish death on her. I made fun of her looks a little bit. That wasn't very nice of me. I will admit that. I was really hungry. And obviously she did say a lot of really horrible things to me. So I think that any normal human reaction would be to, you know, pick on somebody's looks a little bit when they're getting their looks picked on as well a little bit. But again, ugliness on the outside, making yourself ugly on the outside to match what's inside is really clear here. Clearly she was already fucked up on the inside, so she wanted to look fucked up on the outside just to match what she is. But I'm not going to talk about her looks anymore because I feel bad for her. Instead of hating this person, I feel horrible for her. I feel so bad that she is so mentally ill and deranged that she went and got herself on testosterone and gave herself a double mastectomy. Didn't give herself a double mastectomy. That she went and got a double mastectomy done on herself. And obviously treating people the way that she does. She's clearly very disturbed. So I do hope that she can get the help that she needs. And I realize how hard it can be to get help. It's really hard to admit when you're vulnerable and wrong. But I hope she can do that. And yeah. Jesus Christ, I talked for a long time. Let me know in the comments if you like this more unscripted content a little bit better, where I ramble, or if you like the scripted content better, or if you'd like a mix of both. because since I'm so early into my channel right now, I kind of want to figure out what everybody's really into, and I want to go with that. I want to make content that people like. So if you don't like these long rambles, then I won't make them anymore. If enough people say they don't like the scripted stuff, then I won't do it at all, or I'll do it a lot less. If it's a mix of both, which I think it would be kind of fun to do a mix of both, like just like a typical reaction channel kind of thing. You know, I pull up a video and I react to it as I'm watching it. I think those are fun. I think I would like to do that. But let me know what you think about that kind of content, because I do talk a lot and I do go off topic a lot. And I know that can be annoying to a lot of people. So if you don't like that, be flat out honest. Be flat out honest with me. Please. Like, I hate when people lie about liking something when they don't actually like it. So just be totally honest. If you hate how much I've been talking this entire time about, you know, basically nothing, then tell me. I want to make my audience happy. If you do want to do, or if you guys are more interested in videos where I just talk, or I react to something without a script, I will definitely be able to push a lot more content, because writing a script takes a long time. But yeah, just let me know your thoughts. Let me know what kind of stuff that you would like to see in the future, before I, you know, get a real setup that isn't janky as shit. And I will start making a lot more content, because I do really enjoy this. Even though it takes a long time to edit and everything, I really do enjoy making content, and I like talking a lot. I keep licking my lips. My mouth is super dry because I've been talking. Sorry. But I do like talking a lot. And, you know, finding things to talk about really makes me happy, I guess. That's why all my TikToks are over 10 minutes long, because I talk a fuck ton. I should make a podcast. Kidding. I'm sick of all the people making podcasts. But yeah, just let me know your thoughts on this video. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. If there's anything that I should change in my videos. I'm hoping that I can edit this video down a little bit, because it's 2.5 hours long, unedited. So hopefully I can edit it down a little bit. But yeah, no, just let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see in the future. I'm going to link the 2 videos that I talked about in the beginning of the video down in the description. I'm going to put my Twitter and my Instagram and my TikTok down there as well, so you guys can go follow me on any of those. But yeah, leave suggestions in the comments or DM me on any of my socials, and make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed my incredibly long rant about something that shouldn't have been this long. Yeah, but have a good day.